as Jonah was, sitting under a fig tree in an unknown land, complaining loud.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is, we're so pleased that you're here. I'm the Reverend Sheryl Butler, and this is Journey Road Ministries, where we seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with our God. Today is the fourth Sunday after Epiphany, and today we'll be considering authority. Now, being a child, actually a teenager of the 60s, I've always kind of struggled with the idea of authority. And what does today's gospel reading have to tell us about true authority? Our reading comes from the gospel according to Mark chapter 1, verses 21 through 28. They went to Capernaum, and when the Sabbath came, he entered the synagogue and taught. They were astounded by his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. Just then there was in their synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be silent and come out of him." And the unclean spirit, convulsing him and crying with a loud voice, came out of him. They were all amazed, and they kept asking one another, "What is this? A new teaching with authority? He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." At once his fame began to spread throughout the surrounding region of Galilee. May the truth of these words be written upon our hearts and transform our lives. Amen. So authority is somewhat suspect in American culture today. Well, actually, in my experience, it's always been suspect. Dr. Diane Camp, author of the book A Window to Heaven, identifies her own suspicion in particular to God's authority and reliability. In the foreword to her book, Dr. Paul Brand cites her suspicion concerning God when he writes, schooled by medical mentors who told her to set aside her personal feelings as she treated young cancer patients, Dr. Camp's almost non-existent faith slipped away until she could no longer believe. In her own words, Dr. Camp shared, "If I were to believe, it would require the testimony of reliable witnesses." The issue of reliable and authoritative witness of faith provide the context of the story from Mark. It seems that not all that much has changed in terms of God's witness to a suspicious world. For Dr. Camp, that reliable witness of God's love came to the very children for whom she provided treatment. Their dreams, their stories, their undoubting trust of this God who loved them provided the needed reliable witness, the authoritative witness to create an abiding trust in God. Dr. Camp's faith was restored by the children she helped. Well, I know there are some that really cannot see past the suffering of this world. They can't believe that a God, especially an all-powerful, loving God, would allow such suffering. I personally struggle with the question of biblical authority. And Mark's gospel seeks to provide a reliable and authoritative witness to the reality of God's present, in-breaking kingdom through Jesus Christ. As the children's faith was an effective witness for Dr. Camp, the words and deeds of Jesus most powerfully testify to the authority of the source empowering such words and works. God empowers the authority of Jesus, and that empowerment becomes evident in the words and works of Jesus. This is the difference between Jesus and the scribes. The words and deeds of the scribes lack something. There's something they lack is the empowerment of God. And Mark intends to show the difference between the empowered authority of Jesus and the kingdom he seeks to bring and the unempowered authority of the scribes. Today, there seems to be a plethora of literature considering empowerment in the workplace. The idea is that a good leader empowers others to productivity. According to Mark's gospel, God is empowering a new kingdom of love and grace through Jesus Christ and those who would seek to follow him. Word indeed receive their authority from God. Jesus has come to proclaim such a kingdom empowered with the authority of God. People who witness this authoritative witness can tell the difference. In such a kingdom, such authority is even granted to dying children whose testimony can be so effective. So empowered are they by God that one doctor will never be the same because of their words and deeds. Such is the authority of God's witness in a kingdom that will have no end. The church needs to be reminded of the source of her authority and witness. It becomes easy to know the words and mimic the work of Christianity. However, people know the difference between what is authoritative and what is not. In the long haul, the false or unempowered witness will be found out. The question this text poses for the church today is, who is the source of its ministry and witness? Mark wants to make it clear that those who will listen, that the words and deeds of Jesus are connected to God, who empowers them with authority in a kingdom that is here, now, and forever. If the church today is to preach, witness, or minister to the needs of a hurting world, it must do so with an empowered authority, thus ensuring the consistency between what it says and what it does. According to Mark, people will know the difference. Well, I have to confess, I kind of have an issue with Mark's message here, if that is his message, based on our current political climate and the number of those identified as evangelical Christians that continue to follow a false and dishonest person whom they seem to believe speaks with authority. Some people, it seems, don't know the difference. So I suppose this has always been true. People have always been attracted to false prophets. Even though I struggle with authority questions, I remain hopeful by focusing on the teachings of Jesus. If I do that, I am not getting worked up into stressful, frustrating moments by judging others. I try to remember that judging is God's job, not mine. I try to focus on being a loving person, being helpful where I can, being aware of where my gifts will be helpful to those I may encounter during the day. And when we walk the path of Jesus, we will come to understand the message in this story, that what Jesus is telling us is that if we believe Jesus here, that we also will know our own empowered authority, and that we have the power to cast out many demons in this world, the demons of hate, prejudice, greed, lies, all the evils that seek to destroy the beloved kingdom. I remain hopeful and my faith strengthened when I focus on these people and their sacrifice in building the kingdom of love. And I remember it is about our relationships, and my faith is restored. Amen.
when I am down, and oh, my soul so weary. When troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. Strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly, but when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. Stormy sea, and I am strong when I am on your shoulder. Oh, you raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more